Okay, so I thought I'd just do a short video with some tips on how allies can be the best ally they can be, because I've had quite a lot of friends, quite a lot of people online message me asking different questions, what they can do more of, if they're doing the right thing, and so I just thought I'd put something together to just give a few tips. So the first thing that I would say is to be really, really careful what you share and how you share it. If you find something useful or informative, by all means, feel free to share that. But just be wary when sharing opinions along with it. Sometimes things can be shared in a way that's triggering or offensive or with not necessarily the right intent. So especially while you're still learning about these topics and still growing, sometimes it's simply best just to share information rather than pass opinion on it to a wide forum. Also, sometimes people are sharing things that can be quite triggering. So say, for example, you see something that's particularly shocking, or you have a conversation about Black Lives Matter and then you get into a disagreement with a friend or family member or colleague. Sometimes we can feel the need to share that, so we want to tell everyone, or we want to call a friend who's black and let them know. This can be really, really triggering for people, and this can be really traumatizing. So trust me, we know what's going on. Trust me, it hurts every time. So sometimes think, if you're sharing another video or calling your friends, say, oh my gosh, this happened, just think about the impact it could have on them and how they might receive it. So that's the first thing I would say. The second thing is to take the amazing work that you're doing online, offline. So a lot of people have said, so what more can I be doing? Like, I don't want this movement to fade into the background. So everything that you're learning, you bring it into your home environment. You talk about it with your partner. You start introducing age-appropriate race discussions with your children. You take it to work. If your organisation or company hasn't done a statement or isn't doing anti-racist work, this is the time to bring it up. It may be scary, it may be frightening, but as allies are aware, they are in a place of privilege. So it's really an important opportunity to use that privilege for the greater good at this time. Another thing is just to work with any guilt, fragility or defensiveness. That's bound to come up. As people learn about anti-racist work, we're going to realise there are times when we may have been discriminatory, prejudiced or racist. That's okay. It doesn't mean that someone's a bad person just because they've done something in the past or because they haven't stood up or shouted out when they saw something that was wrong. That's fine. People can work with it. You can speak to friends, families and process it, but just be careful what you do with that. Similarly to sharing, that's not something you need to go back and tell, for example, a black friend about and say, oh my gosh, I realised I did this to you 10 years ago and I'm really sorry. Just think about those things. Think about the receipt and how that can be received. If you truly think that that's something that's not going to trigger or harm and it's not necessarily to help your guilt, then by all means, but just be really aware of that when you're working with these kind of feelings. As I mentioned, bring these things to your place of work. There's so many fantastic templates online now, some of them which I'll link below. It's really, really an important time. And if someone is in a place of privilege, they actually have the power to make great change. If you head up a team, if you work in education or the charity sector or public sector or even corporate, basically anywhere you are, this is a really fantastic opportunity for change. People are listening, the gatekeepers are listening, and those higher up know that they need to make changes. So it's really important time to support your organisation and your team in doing really important anti-racist work, especially in terms of supporting black colleagues, supporting black service users, and also when it comes to anti-racist policy and procedure. I would also say just not to make assumptions. So obviously many people are feeling pain and suffering at this time, including allies. Acknowledge your pain, be aware of your pain, and share your pain. Share the pain with people that are closest to you. If you need to find an outlet, share it in a healthy way. If you need to seek out more professional support, that's absolutely fine. But just be careful not to make any assumptions. So if you're feeling pain, just be aware of who you share it with. Again, don't make assumptions that every black person wants to talk about this all the time, or don't make assumptions that all black people feel this way. So there are some black people out there who will say, you know, I don't really feel that racism is a problem in the UK or the US or Canada or whatever, and they're perfectly entitled to that opinion, although it's quite rare. So just be aware that we don't want to make any assumptions about other people's pain, and we don't want to put our pain on other people. So these are just a few things that I think could be done, a few things that allies can work with. So hopefully these help inform you, help you move on along your path, and just help us all to continue the good fight that we're doing.